So, like I said, the orb. Well, first off, you don't know me. I'm, the Fibonacci. I was West Virginia trader back in the day, but I switched it over when I started trading Fibs. I'm one of the horsemen, the moderator here, along with OT, P Daddy, and Golden Focus, and we kind of put on some of these things every now and then. They talk about either supply and demand. OT really good about the back basic stuff, but I'm more of a, like I said, the fib or orb and OPR strategy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the orb first, show the OPR, and then talk about the fibs, how I try to look at them on the daily chart. What I do is I trade off the 3-minute within the first roughly 15 minutes of the day. I'll talk about first the traditional orb strategy. Traditional orb strategy usually goes off of either a 15-minute or a 30-minute. And what you do is, you take that first 30 minutes. This is a 3-minute chart, so we'll just do 15 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, and you draw the high.
Are you sharing your chart, Fibs?
Oh shit! No, I'm not. I'm glad you said something. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
There we go. Can you see it now?
I got it. We're good.
That's good. So the first, these are 3-minute candles, and like I said, well, even if we do 30 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you go by the first 10 candles, which would be 30 minutes, you go by the high and the low of that, and once it breaks that, you could play it all day. Once it breaks that area, it's kind of like the break and retest. It'll break, and then you wait for a retest to get your entry, and then the only problem with that, there's really no profit target where you're going to look for. If it was me, I would draw the fibs for a profit target, but depending on what your profit target is, you can go by it. If you want to ride it the whole way and then wait for it to come back down, but of course you're going to lose money doing that. But that's kind of the traditional way, and like I said, you could play it both sides. If it breaks to the low and retest, you could play it. I don't do it that way. How I do it is I just play the first 3-minute candle or the second 3-minute candle, and sometimes I'll switch to the 5, but lately I've been just concentrating on the 3-minute candle. And how I do it is I'll watch how this first 3-minute candle prints. So for example, this green candle, it was a strong up push, and then it come back a little bit, but that was a strong up push candle. So for me, when it breaks the body going in that direction where it was pushing is when I'll make my entry. If it was wicky on both ends, big long wick here, big long wick here, I don't automatically just jump in right at the break. I'll kind of watch it and see what it's doing. This candle here, I think it may have started and it pulled back against it, and then it pushed up, and then I made my entry. And how I do my profit target is I'll draw from the bottom to the top body where I made entry with my fib points. I don't go by the wick because I didn't enter way up here. I actually entered when it broke that body, so that's why I draw the fib point, anchor point up there. My first profit target, what I'm looking for, is a 382 level. I usually do 10 contracts. So at the 382, what I'll do is I'll scale out 5, and then I'll wait, and that 786 is my second profit target, where I'll scale out the other 5. If it's a strong candle where it's pushing up like this, I think it actually did push up, so I actually held on it, and then as it started pulling back, I just got out of all 10 of them as it was pulling back on me. And this is how I trade. I won't let it go back to 0. If it was coming up and it was wicking, it had problems struggling around that 382 level, that's when I'd say, okay, I'll get out of 5, and then if it actually pulled back from there, I'd get out of the other 5. I don't hold. Just because I scale out, I don't wait for that 786. If it starts pulling back, I'll get the hell out of it, just as long as it hits my profit target. And it doesn't even have to hit that 382 level. If it starts pushing up maybe to that 272 and then starts pulling back, I'll just get out all 10 of them with some profit. It's just not going to be as much because I don't want to chance it coming back. Because this whole strategy is a scalping strategy, and it's a momentum play. So you're just playing off the momentum of the open of that first candle.
Hey, Fibs.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Sure.
So you use the first 3 minute to kind of do your entry, and then do you watch the 1 minute once you're in, or do you still just watch the 3 minute?
No, I just watch the 3 minute. And lately, what I've been doing is listening to Jimmy too. If he's talking, it'll, sometimes I hold even longer now than my fib points, because in the chat, he'll be like, the Qs are going up, the Apple's going up, Tesla's going up. There's, it doesn't look like SPY should really pull down right now. And if he was saying that, I would probably hold past my profit targets. And that's what I did a couple days last week, is I actually held past my profit targets because he was right, man. It kept going up, and I was like, damn, which is great. And that's what I was expecting from his chat, stuff like that, which is really good.
Cool, thanks.
Now, I'll just go back to the previous day too, so you can see it's just not a one-shot deal. Like this was Friday, so if we go back to Thursday, this was to the downside, but as you can see, it wicked at the top here, and then of course it pulled down, and that, to me, that's more of a bullish style, because it tried to push down and then push back up. So I didn't just jump right in right at the break of that bottom body. When it does something like that, when it's wicky, I'll either switch to the 5 minute, which, like I said, I haven't really been doing it, switching to the 5 lately. What I do now is I'll just draw my fib points, and then I'll wait for it to come down to either that 10% or 16% before I make entry. Yeah, I'm giving up a little bit more profits, but it's a little bit of a safer bet, because if I wait that long, whenever this first candle looks like it's, like I said, they try to push it down and come back up, I want to wait and see what the second candle is going to do. And as you can see, it kind of pulled back up, and then it started pushing back down, and then I think I made my entry between the 10 and 16%. I was like, okay, it looks like it's going to push. And then this candle, as you can see, it was just nice, strong candle pushed down, so I held. It pushed way down here, and I was like, man, I should just get out, right now. But I was like, maybe I'll wait. But then it started pulling back, and once it started pulling back, I got out. I kind of did the opposite. You're supposed to sell into strength, but kind of what I do is it's pulling back. I was like, okay, I'm getting the hell out before it does. I mean, who knows? It could pull back the whole way. And as you can see, it did kind of, the next candles turned green and went back against you. That's why I say, if you play the orb, don't think it's a play where you're going to get in and ride this thing the whole way down. I mean, there's days that it did go the whole way down, drop or go up. But still, I usually say this candle here was that was the end of it. It didn't have its wick. It was a strong push down, and it closed right here. I'd stay in it and wait and see what the very next candle is going to do. If it's red, I'd stay in it until it pulls back, and obviously, this one's green. So if this candle stopped here and I'm still in it, when this candle starts forming and it's pushing down, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to keep going down. Then all of a sudden it starts pulling back, I'd get out. I don't have a stop loss where I move it up, because with Webull, the bad thing about stop loss is there's a slippage, and normally for me it's been 20 cents or 2 cents for slippage, or if you play SPX, which I'm not sure people do or not, it's like 20 cents slippage on that, or 10 cents because it's doubled, which kind of sucks. But so what I do is I do like a mental stop loss if it's coming back, and for me a mental stop loss is it's pulling back up against me. If you want to do an actual stop loss on your entry, a way to do it is, if you make entry here, I use the 236 line, or I used to use the 236 line as my get the hell out. If it comes up to there and pushes past it, I just close out my, whatever it is. I'm not sure how much it'd be a loss. It could be, $50, $100, because like I said, I play 10 contracts, but that's usually probably maybe $50 or less on it. But what I've been doing is, if I make an entry and as soon as it starts pulling back against me, I'll just get out and get in another time, tomorrow. I don't wait to see how far back it's going to pull, for a stop loss. I'm confident, and as you can see, majority of these times when you make an entry on it, it pushes in the direction, because like I said, this little, pullback here technically, that could have been the start. I don't know how this candle actually printed, but once it broke is when I got in on that one. Again, we could go back. It's at saying Captain America. I could do this all day, right? If we go back and look at the previous day, same thing, but if you look at this one, here's where there's wicks on.
Hello.
There's wicks on the
Hey,
upside and lower side. Hold on 1 minute.
What you doing? Are you?
Oh, shoot. Is that the wrong person I needed? Nah, we should be good. But but you see there's wicks on both sides here, so that's indecisive because the wicks are almost identical. The body's, pretty decent size. So to me, it's like, oh shit, which way is it going to go? That'd be one I wouldn't jump in right away. And you wait. Obviously, push down and then it come back up. Again, if you draw the fibs from the, actually, this will be down here to the wick, to the body. And here would have been one I would have waited for the 10% level. If you want to be very conservative when it's wicky like that, if you want to wait for the actual break of the wick and then you could draw your fibs the whole way up there, that's another way to play it. I don't play it that conservative. The most I wait is usually this 10% line and the 16%. Once it's pushes past that 10% line, I feel a little bit more confident and I'll jump in. And it's the same thing. If I get in there, instead of taking profit at 382, I usually will take it at 618 would be my first profit target, and then take it after that. Here's one where it pushed up and it was a strong push up, so I actually didn't get out any. I stayed in it, and here's where I was telling you about. It closed right there. There was no pullback. So on the very next candle, I waited to see what it was going to do, and I think this one actually did pull back a little bit first, and I just got out. I didn't care. I already met my profit target. Did I leave all this on the table? Yeah, I did. But I don't think like, oh shit. I mean, afterwards I'm like, man, I could have made more money there, but that's not my style. It's like, okay, who cares? Because it hit my profit target, and if you go by that and stick with your profit targets, you will constantly make money, even though it's not like, oh, I hit 100% here. It might have been 20, 30% or whatever it is, but you still made money, and you do it again the next day at 20, 30%. Guess what? It adds up over time because they all don't run like this the whole way up. So I can't stress that enough that whenever you get in it, set a profit target for yourself and don't think it's going to run like this did here, run up. But that's just how I do it. Again, with Jimmy in chat now, usually he'll talk and say, like, oh, it looks like it's going up. And if I hear him saying that and it looks pretty strong, I'll let it run a little bit longer. And then, I'd get out. Like this red candle, regardless of what Jimmy was saying on that pullback, I would definitely get out 100% because I'd be like, oh, I don't care if it's going to keep going up and everything's looking green. That's a pretty good pullback. I'll get the hell out regardless because I'm way into my profit target for sure.
Hey, Fibs.
Yeah, go ahead.
This has been great. When you enter and exit, do you use market orders or limit orders?
So I use the active trader on Webull, and I'll hit buy at the ask or buy at the limit. It depends. If this pulls back here like this, as it's coming up, usually it's not a really fast move. It's like because again, this is a 3-minute candle. I'll hit buy limit order, right in this area once it's there. If it pushes up, sometimes it'll come back and catch me, and there's times where I actually miss the move, and I'm like, oh well, I'm not chasing it if I don't get in right away. But if it's say right away, it's here, there's no wick to the bottom, and it just starts pushing, I'll hit the buy the ask. I got buy the ask +2 or something like that. That's I want to get the hell in right now because it's actually buying above the ask as if it was moving. And then what I sell is usually when I get in is I'll show my Webull. I'm about to do that now. Log on to my Webull and I'll explain it once it pulls up here.
Do you only use this pretty much as an opening play scalp?
Yeah, this is an opening play, momentum play, scalp is what it is. And it's just like I tell people, it's to get me green and get me good for today. Can you see my Weeble screen now?
Yep.
All right, so this is how I have it set up. Actually, I don't have buy the ask +1. I just hit buy the ask, buy the bid, buy the mid, which I really never use that. And I have a sell market. That means if I want to get the hell out, I usually sell market. But normally I'll set this for 10, and then I have it, set up my puts on this side, my calls on the other side. So if it looks like, okay, I'm going to possibly buy a call, I'll click on this left side, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm going to get in either buy the bid or buy the ask. As soon as I hit buy the bid or buy the ask, I'll come down here and I'll hit sell 10 contracts at 50 cents
I've been
above
just watching this thing for like 15 minutes.
Did you talk to Tom?
I did, yeah.
Anything?
Let me,
No, wait.
I'll mute it. But when I hit this sell the ask at 50 cents, what it does is, we'll say it's $1.59 now. It'll put a sell limit sell up here at what would that be, at $2.09. And what I could do with that is I could click on it and drag it up or down. If I want it, like again, if I want to stop out, I'll click it and drag it down wherever the price is coming. Right, if it's at 159 and it's still moving down, I'll drag it down to like 150, right around in that area, so it hits it as it's going down. And then vice versa, if it's moving up and it's a strong push up, what I'll do is I'll keep dragging that up some, and then okay, it's starting to pull back down, I'll just drag this back down. Because if I use actual stop losses on Weeble, like I said, there's slippage. But if I use these limit orders, I've never had any slippage on a limit order. Is how I play, use it with Weeble.
Cool, thanks.
Uh-huh.
So why didn't you play the downside on that second candle, the wick?
Which one?
What was stopping you
This
from
one
doing
here, right here. It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't break the bottom here. As you can see, it's real close. And if I was to even draw my fibs, thinking, okay, it's going to break to the downside. Like I said, when it's wicky like that, what I do is I'll wait till it breaks the 10% or 16% fib point before I get in. So it come down here, and it barely even broke that one before it pushed back up. So that's why I didn't get into the downside. For me, when it's a indecision candle, I'll wait, like I said, till it breaks that 10% or 16% fib. If it come down and touch that 10% and then bounce back up, I wouldn't get in. If it's not a decent push, you'll know, like here, it was a decent push. It kept pushing up. It would have pushed right past the 10%, the 16%. That's when I'd get in, jump in. So that's why I didn't go to the downside. And that's one of the little nuances with playing orb. Like, I could tell people, as soon as it breaks the high or low, and right here, this candle, as it's pushing down, yeah, technically it did break the low, but the little nuances are, when you see an indecision like this, where it tried to push down, got sucked up, it tried to push up, got sucked back down, don't jump in right away, because you don't know exactly which way it's going to push. Like I said, you can be conservative and wait for it to actually break the wick and then jump in. But for me, like I said, I play the fibs. Been great for me. I just do the 10 to 16% fib, and it's been working really well. But good question. All right, let me look on the chat here. RF asks, do you have a specific criteria that you tell when it's a good time or a good candle to jump in? Or are there things that you see as red flags aside from long wicks? I think I answered some of that. Red flags for long wicks, other than long wicks. If this candle was a doji candle, so say this candle right here was the very first candle, I probably wouldn't play that unless it breaks the actual wick itself, because there's hardly any body there and you definitely don't know. So we'll just use this for example. We'll say that was the first candle. What I would do is I would wait until it breaks that body, and then I'd jump in, and then I would actually draw from the top to where I made my entry point, and then play it the same way I play any other thing. Which it hit the 382 here, and it was pulling back, or it come down here to the 50 and started pulling back. I just get out as it was pulling back on me. Is how I play it. So as a red flag, or if it was like that, you could jump to the 5 minute. Like I said, I used to jump to the 5 minute, but the 3 minute chart for me has been great, so I just stick with it and just modify it a little bit to, like I said, if it was like that, the way I modify it is I'll play it off the wick now instead of, and even then that's chancing it because you have no idea. There's buyers and sellers. That candle didn't really move. So this second candle, it looks like a really strong push down. So yeah, I'd be like, okay, you know. But if this second candle was like, you know, that candle, another wicky one where, you know, pull down and pull back up, I wouldn't even play it. I'd just say to hell with the orb today. What you can do though too, and what I do sometimes is, if say this was the first candle, it was not sure whether to get in or not, and the second candle didn't break the wicks on that one. So let's just see if there's a candle anywhere that didn't break the wick. Okay, so this isn't the greatest example, but we'll say this second candle, like this first candle, it was a doji and it's wick. The second candle printed and it didn't break any of the wicks. The third candle, I'll play off the third candle from this second candle. So if the third candle was the break, you know, down or up, then I would play that as an orb for me and do the same thing off of the second candle. And basically that first candle didn't exist. I just played off the second candle. So that's an option too, but I've hardly played that third candle because usually, like I said, this first, I mean, we'll go back another day. This is the 7th, so, you know, you could go back another day. Here's an example of...
You're talking about the third candle on the 3 minute, right?
Yeah, right here's a good example of it. So this one here, this second candle, you know, it's very wicky. You could have jumped in on that, and it would have been, you know, a quick target. It still hit the profit targets, but there's no saying you can't jump in after that. I didn't, but, you know, this, I would have waited till it broke that wick, and then you could play off of this second candle and draw your fibs. You know, since you're going from wick to wick, that's your entrance point, and then you could play it that way too. That's usually risky, but I mean, it has worked in the past. But like I said, I normally will play off the first candle and go from there. And like I said, the majority of the time, it's an actual play. It works out really well. You just have to honor your profit target. And like you can see, when I draw the fibs, it's not a huge, you know, profit target. Like this candle here, this one here, it broke, come down, hit almost the 50. It broke past that 382, and then it started pulling back. I'd get out. You know, it started pulling back on me. I'm not going to wait to see if it's going to keep going down or not. I would just get out when it, you know, if it pulls back. This day I didn't. I forgot who I was in chat with. I was chatting with somebody, and we were thinking it was going to drop down low. So what I did here was I was like, okay, I'm going to go by my stop loss, you know, the 236 area, and see what it's going to do. Just normally I don't do that, but just I was in chat with somebody, and we were talking about, we both had the idea, hey, it's probably going to drop, and luckily it did. And what I did was I held on this red candle here. It pulled back up, and I was like, man, I should just get out now. But I was like, okay, I'll wait. And then when this green candle started forming is when I ended up getting out on this day. But normally I would get out on this first candle if I was by myself, you know, without anybody talking and in trade and stuff. I would have been out on this first candle on that one. And then, like I said,
So by the third candle on the 3 minute, you don't see any movement. I mean, you'll pretty much drop it as a scalp at that point.
Yeah. So again, we'll say that there was no wick here. It just ended at the body there was the end of that candle. I wouldn't get out. I'd wait and see what the next candle is going to do. This next candle, if it started printing up right away, I'm out. If it pushed down, I'd stay in, and then as soon as it starts pulling back, I'd get out. So basically, my strategy is if I'm in, I'm green, and it starts pulling back against me, I'm getting the hell out. I don't worry about, you know, oh, I only made $10. Hell, I made $2 on a trade one time. I didn't care. I got out. it's a great thing with Webull. You know, you're only paying 12 cents a contract, so you're not getting killed by your fees with it. So that's how I do my scalps and how I do, and I've been very successful at it. Like I said, in August, I mean, other than the orb play in August, I was 100%. I didn't play every day, but the ones I played were all winners. Like I said, it could have been a $2 winner, but I'd get in. If it pulled back against me, I'd get out. I count that as a win. I had a couple, red trades because I was doing a different style trading after the fact, which I should have just quit with the orb. But I was trying to do break and retest by myself, preparing for Jimmy, and I just draw too many freaking lines, and it wasn't working out for me as good as it's doing this week. But here again, this is a day, the next day with those wicks on there. So what I would do is I would wait. I wouldn't jump in right away. I'd draw my fibs, and I'd go in at the break of the 10% or 16% area, which would be roughly right in this area is when I'd make my entry point. And as you can see, it still hit my profit targets. So, and I think it's a momentum trade. So strategy-wise, is there a strategy to it? It's not gambling, because if it was gambling, the win percentage wouldn't be this good. And there is strategy to it, as in making your profit target and when the hell to get out. And for me, like I said, I draw the fibs, and it's just such an easy profit target. Because if I go by percentage and say I need to get 10%, a lot of times it wouldn't hit that 10% level, and I'd still hold, and then it pull back, and then it's going to hit my stop loss. Okay, I'm negative. I've learned my lesson way back in February. If I'm in a positive trade, I am not letting it go negative. What usually hurts me is if I'm trading and it goes negative against me right away, I just get the hell out. I'm like, okay, I'm getting out. And yeah, it's a negative loss, but I'm not going to lose $500, $600. No. The worst loss I had was $1,500, and that was back in February. And then I was almost going to quit on that day. And Jimmy had one of his talks, and it got me set mentally. But here's the day before, the 31st. You can see almost every day. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't work every day, but this past week, it's been working really well, and it's just really good for me. And that's it for the orb, more or less. It's pretty cut and dry and easy. It's like I said, you watch that first candle. If you don't want to jump in right away, if you want to wait and see what it's going to do, you can wait for a little bit longer and then say, okay, I'm going to get in. It's pushing. And if you're only playing one contract, you're not going to see big rewards on it. I ain't going to lie. When I first started this, I played one contract till I got the system down, until I got comfortable and confident in it. And it wasn't like I was making, I might have made $20, $15, or $30. By playing 10 contracts, my average win is anywhere between $50 to $300 is what I had most on this. So it's just been working well for me, and I've been using a 10 contract because I know, if it comes back at me, I'm going to cut it. I'm confident I could play my whole account on one trade. I know everybody says, oh, you don't want to play more than a certain percentage of your account on a trade. I'll throw 100% on a trade because I know if it comes back against me, I'm not waiting for it to come back way up here for a stop loss. Like this candle here, if I would have got in and it started pulling back on that little wick, I'm out. I don't wait. I'm out. I'll just get the hell out, and I'll go another time and do it.
One more question, Fibs.
Sure.
Do you factor pre-market into, like, pre-market if it's in a downtrend or uptrend going into the opening?
No.
Do you look at that at all, or do you only just go off of what you see?
I just go off
market open.
I do turn on my after hours and stuff, just because there's times where I'll have the RV or the 920, and what'll happen is you have to have the after hours on. If not, it throws off the whole, because they're lagging indicators. It'll throw them off if you don't. And the reason why I don't play the orb, hey, it's been a downtrend, so therefore this is going down, because on February 24th last year, or actually this year, is where I had that big loss, and it dropped from like in aftermarket or pre-market, it dropped maybe $5 or $6. So I was like, oh man, as soon as it opens, I'm getting in a freaking put. And that's what I did. I jumped in a put right away. And I forgot how many I bought. 5 maybe. I think I was up $100. It turned around and it moved up like $18 or $20 that day. And I kept holding and hoping, oh, it's going to come down. It's going to come down. So I just play what it gives me on the open. I don't worry about anything prior. It's just whatever this opening candle gives me is what I'm watching. And I go by that.
Cool. Thanks.
Joel, you said for some reason you don't understand. Can you elaborate on it a little bit? If you could talk too, Joel. I'm not sure if you could talk or.
I have a question on your scalping. I thought scalping, I scalp like 10 seconds to 3 minutes maybe, but it seems like you're scalping longer, like 5-10 minutes.
No, not really 5-10 minutes, because I'll get in and then I'll get out right away too. Let's show. Like here, if I got in on this candle here, it's down here. This is a 3-minute candle, of course, and it depends when this pullback was. You know, if it dropped within that first minute and then, or even the first 30 seconds and started pulling back up, I'm out. You know, I'll get out right away. So I'm in and out. It could be, like I said, 10 seconds, or it could be 3 minutes or longer. If it's a stronger push, like over, where was it? Like here, I would actually hold on to it to see what this very next candle is going to do. If it dropped more, then I'll stay in it longer until as soon as it pulls back is whenever I get the hell out. On that.
And when you're doing that, are you watching the option pricing on the strength that you have?
No. I'm watching the chart, and if it, like I said, as soon as it pulls back against me, I use 2 screens. So on this screen, I'm watching it. And I guess you could say technically, yeah, I'm watching it because I basically have, whenever I should, were you here when I showed that Weeble chart? Who was talking? Sorry, did you see that Weeble setup that I had?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of use Weeble for my charts because they are faster than most of them that I found out. But I use Interactive Broker for my other stuff.
So basically, what I do is I'll have this chart on a monitor and then my Weeble, and this is the option. So I already have a sell price up here, like I said, at 50 cents higher than whatever the price is. I do it as soon as I buy. I hit a sell limit order at 50 cents higher. So I'm watching the trading view chart. Is this going to move over? Probably not. No. So I'm watching this trading view chart, but I have my cursor on that 50 cents. So as it's pushing down, I'll keep moving it up, saying, oh, that's a strong move, so I'm going to move my limit order up because it's not selling yet. As soon as it starts sliding against me, I'll slide that limit order down to sell wherever the price is at that time. I don't care what the price is at the time. I just worry about the chart. If it pulls back against me, I'm selling wherever it's at that particular time. And that's kind of the difference of my profit targets compared to, like, I don't care about percentages. I don't care about a $500 or $200, and that's why I think I'm successful at this, because I don't have any set profit targets. You know, I mean, I do with the Fibs, and then once it hits those profit targets, if it starts pulling back, I'm out. And even if it doesn't hit the profit targets, like I was saying earlier, say this is up and this candle didn't push down to the 382, which is normally my profit target. Say it only pushed down to the 272 and started pulling back, I get out. I'm like, screw it, I'm out. If it's $30, it's $30. If it's $10, it's $10. I don't care, because I'll get in another day, or later on in the day I'll look for another trade. It's where you, oh man, that's only $10. I got to hold on to a little bit longer. And it pulls back against you. Oh, it might come back down. Look, oh, it might come back down. Oh, shit, oh, shit, oh, shit. Now you're down $500 or whatever it is, because it pulled back. Now what are you going to do? You're going to keep holding on this day. Luckily, it come back, but shit, even though it come back to here, Theta probably killed you to where you're still not in the money. You're like, oh, shit, what the hell? I have to get lower than, where I bought in at. So for me, I don't do that. If it's in, it starts pulling back, I get out, and I'm under the theory of slow or small profits add up over time. So you can, like I said, $10 here, $30 there. Guess what? That's $40. This week, I know we really shouldn't say, oh, this is how much money I made. I got a small account. I started with 1,000. I took it up to 5,000. I had to take money out to pay for shit in real life. Took it back down to a little bit less than 2,000. This week, I got it back up over to, I got $1,300 this week trading. So roughly my average was about $300 a day. I think I made $400 in one day. So I don't care about a set profit. You know, it's these little ones will add up over time. I mean, I would love to get $1,000 trading day. That's my goal. But I'm not going to sacrifice. If I'm $500 in, oh, this might keep going up. This could be my $1,000 day. If it goes back against me, guess what? I'm out. I could care less. So I'm not worried about that $1,000 day. And I learned to trade like that because Jimmy, I mean, just pounded it into the heads. You got to trade like a robot. Trade like a robot. Like I said, after February 24th, I was ready to quit, man. I lost that $1,500. I'm like, screw this. I'm done with trading. I can't do it. I think I had $500 left in my account. I'm like, I'm done. And Jimmy had a chat that night, and it just totally changed my mindset. And I'm like, okay, I'm dedicated. I'm going to stick with this and try to figure out a way. I had ups and downs along the way. Come April is when I discovered the orb and the fibs and that. Like, so I started playing around with one contract. May, I started coming, pretty decent, profitable. And in June, I've become really consistent. I think I had 3 or 4 red days out of the whole month of June. And I'm like, okay. And then July, it really, consistency. I think my percentage with the fibs out of 30, or not fibs, out of the orb, out of 31 trades of orb, 27 of them were green. And then August, every one of them, 100% for me, were green. And it's, so far this month in September, I've been green on my orb trades. And it's just because I don't hold and hope. I don't hold and want a big profit. It's, hey, if it gets there, you take it. Because this strategy here isn't a long-term strategy. It's a momentum play. You're playing the momentum of the morning and getting out. Like I said, if you only play one contract, you're probably not going to see that much profit. But until you get the system down, by all means, just play that one contract. And if you're only gaining 50 cents, as long as you can stick with that criteria, then later on you could scale up, and then you're going to stick. I don't care. Like right now, I could put $2,000 on the line, and I'll trade it as if I'm playing $10, because if it comes back against me, I'm out. $10, it comes back against me, I'm out. I'm not going to hold and say, oh, I only lost $10. Fuck that. That's $10 in my pocket that I want to keep. So if it starts pulling back against me, once you get that mental mindset that you don't want to lose money. I mean, we're not here to lose money. We're here to gain money. So if you're in the money, you're green. If it starts pulling back, get the hell out. If it keeps running and like last week, I did a SPX contract. I sold it for $300. It ran for $3,000. And I'm like, oh, that would have been a good runner, but oh well, I'm not going to let it bother me because I followed my strategy and it worked. So that's the thing with doing the orb is, have your strategy in place, set a profit target, whether you use fibs or I'd hate to use percentages or money, just for the fact that how I play it is it's how this candle moves. If it's moving down, say it hit my 10% here, but it's a strong push down. Do you really want to get out at 10%? No, because it's still pushing. So, obviously you want to stay in it. Or, hey, I want, $100 is my limit. Once I get it, I'm going to sell. Okay. So it hits $100 here, but it's still pushing. Do you want to sell at that $100? No, you're going to keep in it. So that's the same thing like with my fib profit target. That 382 is just saying, hey, if it hits here, start scaling out, especially if it's not showing strength pushing down, start scaling out. But if it's a push, I'm staying in it. And then as soon as there's a pullback, I'm getting the hell out. And like I said, it's been working for me. That strategy, it's been great. Can you do the replay function? The bad thing with the replay function, and I'll show you here, we'll just use this. Where's the candle where it bounces up and down?
A question for you as far as your entries, like when you're first doing the morning. How have you kept from like, I mean, obviously sometimes, if we look at the first candle, if it has a tail on it, it means it's switched directions, right?
Yeah.
So how have you kept from like picking it in the wrong direction? You know what I mean? Like let's say the candle was moving up, and then how have you kept from, okay, I'm going to go in on this candle, and then put a call, and then that same candle switches and goes down. Have you ever run into that, or how have you prevented
and then I just
yourself
get,
from running into
I'll
that?
just get out. So we'll say here for this candle here, I don't think I played this day, but you have a wick on the top, a wick on the bottom. So what I would do, okay, this candle here, I think it might have pushed up, and it looked like it may have broke the top there. So I'll draw my fib line. I'll be like, okay, to here, I think I covered a little bit. And what I do on there is I won't jump in right away. I'll wait until it hits the in between that 10% and 16%, which is the red and orange. So that didn't. But then if we reverse that and go to the downside, I'll just redraw it. That way, no confusion. Because it broke to the downside then. So we go here. Okay, so it broke to the downside. Same thing. I'll wait. 10%, 16, get in is right in here is where I jump in. It pushes down, almost hits at 382, which is a profit target of mine. It starts pulling back. There's no scaling out. It starts pulling back. I just get out of everything I did. So, if this one, I probably wouldn't have made that much money, but I would have made money because I would have got in, right, like I said, between this 10 and 16%. It kept pushing down. As soon as it starts coming back, I'm out. I don't wait to see what it's going to do. And if it would have pulled, broke down, so say I got in right here at the 10% level, and instead of pushing down, it pulled back, I get out. I don't even wait for it to hit the zero. It starts pulling back, okay, I'm getting the hell out, it's not going to work. And then, I lose very little money on that because I'm getting out so quick. And then you just wait for the next trade. That's the thing. I don't know, it's hard to, it's mental, trading is like a lot of other things. It's a mental, if you can mentally, like Jimmy says, trade like a robot, have it set up. Like for me, it hits my strategy, I'll get in. This whole week, I was like, I'm not going to trade, or this past week, I'm not going to trade the orb. I'm going to concentrate on Jimmy's strategy. But every time I'm watching it, I'm like, well, fuck it, that hit my strat. It's like I got to get in. It's automatic because it hits my criteria. Okay, I'm getting in and get out and make a little bit of profit there. And it just, for me, that's how I trade. I hate to say it. I trade like a robot, at least with this strategy, because I've been doing it now for since April. So what is that? Almost 4 or 5 months. I've been really hammering out this orb, and that's how I trade it. Now with the break and retest.
Okay, can you explain orb? I think I might have missed that part.
Orb is opening range breakout. So you're basically playing opening.
Oh, okay.
I could change, I could call it the, let's see, opening candle breakout. So OCB maybe, OCB I'll call it or something. But you're basically playing that first candle. Worst case, you play the second candle. So for example, if, this candle here, maybe I didn't, I'll go on this third candle and wait. But like I said, lately I just been, if this first candle does it, on the second one, I'll jump in. If not, especially now that Jimmy's live, I'll concentrate on the break and retest. But I'm not as confident because I haven't played it as much as I did the orb. So I'm still learning, the whole. I know when to get in. Like obviously, if this is a break here, this is a retest. Get in. And then for me, I would have got out on that green candle as it pulled back up. For me, I'd get out. But with Jimmy in chat, he'd probably be like, oh, this is looking good. To break and retest. Everything's saying it's going to go down. And with him in chat talking, I probably wouldn't have got out on that candle. If I played it, I'd be like, oh, Jimmy's pretty confident it's going to keep going down because he probably had a target. Actually, matter of fact, now that we're talking about Jimmy's thing, let me switch to the 1 minute, and I'll even go over the trade I took and it actually how it kept me in. So, and then I'll start talking about the other strategies here. So Jimmy, wrong one.
And can you explain real quick again? how you use Fibonacci on that?
Yeah. So for me, I have my fibs with extensions on it, and the extensions for me is the profit area. So I'll draw from wherever the bottom. There could be a wick on the bottom. I'll draw from the bottom is the anchor point to my entrance point, which is normally the body of the break of that first candle. I mean, you can, obviously it's not, I don't, during trading hours, if it's just a little bit off like that, I don't care. It doesn't have to be perfect because I ain't got time to be fucking with it. You know what I mean? But so what I look for is at 382 level would be my scaling out. You know, okay, if it hits there and there's really doesn't look like there's strength, you know, so we'll say this candle, for example, say it pulled up a little bit and it was struggling to go any further, I'm getting out 5 of my contracts. And then if it starts pulling back, I'll get out of the other 5. You know, but if it's a strong green candle like this, it's pushing up, there is no pullback, I would hold. You know, on this here, I'd probably still hold because
Okay, so you have the 100% at the beginning of the first candle.
yeah, that's my anchor point, and then the other one is where I get in. And
What
then,
if you're getting in on the first candle? So that would be.
I don't get in on the first candle at all. This candle could print and come up here to the 786. It could be a big run. I don't get in on that first candle at all.
Oh, okay, you never get in on the first
No.
candle. You only do second or third candle.
Yeah,
Got it.
I'll wait for that second candle to see what's going to happen. That first candle, it's just I've never played it that way and never tested it or anything. It just this method here has been working. So, and plus
Got it.
there's no way to know what your profit target would be either. Cool. So
Understood.
on Friday, these lines, Jimmy had this blue line here, and his target was this gold line. So I played the orb and got out, and then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to play the break and retest. It broke, it retested, I got in.
I'm just freaking crap the fuck out.
I got in right at the retest. So I'm like, okay, this is Jimmy's profit, or his target line. So that's expecting it to go up there. We're moving up. You have these pullbacks. Normally, like that red candle, I'm getting hell out because I'm like, okay, it's pulling back on me. I'd get out. But the whole time with Jimmy and Chad, he's like, oh, Apple's still up, Q's are still up, everything. He's confident. It's going, okay, I'm going to hold. This one, 100%, I would get out if I wasn't in chat with Jimmy. I would get the hell out. But Jimmy was confident. It's still, I think it's still looking strong, And then when it come up here and hit that line, I didn't wait to see if it was going to break the line, pull back. It hit that line, boom, I'm selling. I'm getting the hell out. And that's how I did it with Jimmy in the chat. Like I said, normally I probably would have even got out on this green candle where it pulled back. I would have been like, screw it, because it was way past my profit target. And that's the thing with playing the break and retest. I'm not sure how I would even draw the fibs. Would it be on the previous candle? And then I'd go like that. So I know Jimmy has price target lines that he goes by. So I'm still messing with it. If I try to trade it by myself, there's no way I would have held it the whole way up here to this line. So that's the great thing about Jimmy and Chad is, going by his profit targets and hearing what he's saying with the Qs and the ADD and the heat map and all that stuff. It's awesome.
Hey, Fib.
Sure.
Hey, good night, ladies and gentlemen. I have a question. When you play like the opening range breakout, how do you determine which contract? Is it a specific contracts that you're going to get on the options, or how do you go about doing that?
What I do is I'll have my contract set. So we'll just say this is the pre-market. It's 406.20. I'll set my puts up for probably, if it's 406.20, I'll set it up for 405. And then 20, there's still a lot to move, so I'll set the calls up for 407. I play right at the money, one out maybe. And I'll have it set for 10. And then whichever way it breaks, If it looks like it's going to break down, I'll click on this right side and get ready to hit buy. If it looks like it's going to be a call, I click on the left side and just get ready to hit buy to get in. Is how I have it set up.
Okay, nice.
It's real easy and quick. That's why I love Webull. It's easy and it's quick, and at least for me, I know a lot of people love TOS. I tried it. It's just not as user friendly, and I'm just not as good as with it. So that's how I do. But yeah, good question. The first candle you watch for the orb, is that on the 1 minute or 3 minute? Just like Shanine said, it's the 3 minute. I play a 3 minute because 1 minute, there's so much you can't really tell because it moves so quick on the 1 minute. You don't know what you want to do. So I usually do, I just use the 3 minute, which will bring me to any other questions on the orb. Really good questions. Hopefully you guys, I didn't confuse you and I'm like, oh shit.
That must have been awesome. Thank you. I do have one more question, which is not super orb related, but how do you get to the active trade
on Webull
setup for Webull?
So on Webull, what you could do is, if you have a blank screen, you go up here to the trade and just click on active trade, and it pulls that screen up, and you could drag it to wherever you want. Then if you want your chart, you could click on the chart. You could size it however you want. I actually got a video on this, on how to do it. I'll look for it. It's on my YouTube channel.
Okay, we'll do.
And I'm not, promoting anything as YouTube, because even in my videos I say, hey, join Trading Decoded. It's just the easiest way to do a video is on YouTube and share it. It's just so easy doing it that way. But yeah, it'll show you how to set that up. So the next one to go into is what I like to, it's called OPR. And what the OPR is, here, let me look for my YouTube channel real quick and post that link for people. But what the OPR stands for is Opening Point of Control Retracement. And I'll explain that here, what that actually means too. Channel. I wonder if there's a link that goes specifically to the channel itself.
I don't get it. What do you do?
Hold on, I'll go in a minute. I'm getting this link for options.
Forex.com, the #1 Forex broker. The Fed is raising the interest rates, signaling trading.
All right, get me out of there. Okay, here's the link for the custom setups for Webull. So okay, the OPR, Opening Point of Control Retracement. So on TradingView, there is a indicator that goes by where the most volume was throughout the day, traded throughout the day, and it's called Session Volume Profile. There's two of them. One is called Session Volume Profile. The other one is called Volume Profile HD. I'm going to take a picture of this because probably people are going to be like, hey, what was that called again? So I'll post it in the chat also. And then I'll explain here what it is. Alright. Oh shit, if I cancel that, I wonder if it'll cancel out of the... Where the hell's it at now? I just got it. Don't tell me it didn't save it. That ain't good. I'll post it here later on then if I find it where it's saved. I think that's it. Yeah. So how I play this, it's going to sound complicated, but it's another pretty simple, easy way to do it. So whenever you open that session volume profile, this is what you get. How I have it, the actual session volume profile set up, normally what you'll get is it shows you the volume and everything of all day, which will be, we'll say, up volume. I got the opacity down to 0. So, but normally it'll show you that. It'll show you the volume of all day. I'm not concerned about the volume all day. All I'm worried about is the volume, the high volume area, which is this purple area. So how I do it is I go in and I'll turn the volume, the other volume down to 0, so I can't even see it. And then the POC, the point of control is that's where the most volume happens throughout the day, was right there in that area. So how I play it is I'll draw a line for the high value area. I do this the night before. I'll chart out that line there, and then I'll chart out the actual yellow POC line. And then I'll shut it off because it goes throughout the day. It starts, right, I think it even starts at pre-market. It starts forming, and then I just shut it off after I print it. So that was the previous day. So what I look to see is if it's going to open within that value area. So if it opens within this purple line, there's a very high probability that it's going to hit the point of control. It'll come back to that point of control. On this day here, it was like almost a $2. Hell, that was a $4 move because I think it started here, right? Opened up here. So it was almost a $4 move to get to that point of control. So when that happens, normally I don't expect it to happen within the first 30 minutes. I figure it's probably going to do it sometime during the day. It'll hit this point of control. How I play it is once it starts showing strength, pushing back up to this point of control, is I'll make entry. So it pushed down, which I kind of like to see because it gives you a better feel. But I didn't feel in, I didn't buy right now. This green candle here started pushing up. I'm like, that's not a big enough push for me to get in towards that POC area. This candle here obviously pushed back down. It started coming up, coming up, coming up. It broke, more or less at the high of the day at the time. So I was like, okay, this might be the push to that POC. I'm jumping in. So I jumped in here, playing to that POC. Here's a little bit different now. With the stop loss on here, I'm very, very confident it's going to hit this POC. So I'm willing on this trade to let it go to 0 practically before I'll get out. So if I got in here and it's riding up, it's pulling back, I don't get out. I'm still holding. It come up here, as you can see, it almost hit that POC exactly. And to be honest, I believe I drew that POC wrong because it hit that to the T on that day. And that's when I get out. As soon as it hits that, boom, I'm out of that trade. Is when I'll get out of it. So that's that. And this trade here, it's definitely not an everyday play because I'll show you that it's not every day that it does open within that area. That day it did. This day, I'm not sure if you could do it without me drawing a line. So this one here, it opened up right close to it because this was pre-market, and then I think it's going to open up here, and it hit it within the first candle. And I think I even told somebody in chat that that's what's going to happen on the that first candle because it's within $1. Normally, when it's within $1, it's going to push up and hit that POC right away. And of course, this is a 3-minute candle, so I'm not sure if it hit it, on a 1 minute or what it was, but it hit it right away on that one. So it hit, obviously it hit that day. Come back here. So the POC, there's a value area up top, value area at the bottom. It opened up within that value area. And again, it hit the POC. This one opened up almost right on it. So to me, there was not enough meat on the bone to play it because it was so close when it opened up. But it hit it right away too. That first 3-minute candle, bam, it hit it. And it's crazy how it works. And I don't know how it works or why it works. Here, it didn't open up within that area, so it wouldn't have been a play. Say, do you play the POC on the 3-minute chart or on a different time frame? I play it on the 3-minute chart. I usually play everything on a 3-minute chart. I use Weeble Desktop. I think the web version doesn't allow you to do the setups that I have. I think it's just the desktop version. But after I play the orb, I switch to the 1-minute chart if I'm gonna once I start playing the break and retest with Jimmy. So when I start the day, I'm in the 3-minute chart. This day here, it looks like it did open within that time frame, but in reality, I think this candle actually started up top and pushed down, so it wasn't in that time frame. So I didn't play it, but I mean, obviously it was close enough. If you wanted, if you wanted to play it, you could, and it hit it on that second candle. But yeah, I wouldn't have played that because it didn't meet my criteria. This one here is the same thing. It did open up within that time frame or within the value area. And if you look, where did that wick to? I mean, it's like it's magic, guys. It wicked right to that POC, did it not? And then bounced down. It was like, bam. So this one, I think, on red candles, would it start down here? Or even if it started here, I mean, that's not enough meat on the bones to really play. It's like a 15-cent move. If it started down here, it's roughly a 50-cent move, so that could have been a play. But as you can see, I mean, it hits it. I honestly don't understand how or why it works, but it does. Come back here to the previous day. It didn't open up. So like I said, it's not an everyday play for the POC, but whenever or not POC, the OPR, but when it does, it's crazy how it hits it, man. It's amazing that it'll hit it right away. This one, it opened up above it. This one here. Yeah.
What about when it doesn't open within that volume sector, but it goes back into that range when it opened outside of that range?
I've never tested it, but going back and looking, it looks like once it gets within that range, it attracts it. Like here, it opened up below the range here, so I would have drew my lines, here, and I'll just change the POC to a different color right now. So, it opened up outside that line, and kind of like you said, it pushed back up into it, and then it did eventually hit it. I don't play it that way because I've never really back tested it enough to say, okay, it's in that area, it's a strong push, I'm going to go ahead and get in. But it looks like, just from doing this stuff, and people ask, because someone else asked that before, it actually does hit it, but I just haven't back tested it enough to be confident enough to even talk about it and say, oh yeah, it'll hit it as soon as it reaches that area. I just know if it opens up within it, like here, this one opened up within it. I think it opened up here, but if you look right there, it's within it, and it pushed down that first candle. What did it do? It hit the POC right away. And it, like I said, it's just freaking crazy how it works. I don't know how or why it works, but it does. Again, it doesn't do it every day. So for me, here's how I do my charts in the morning, or go back to so this is Friday's chart. This is how I set my chart up for Monday morning. I have the value area. I'll mark, 407.36. I try to get it exact as I can. And get in here, 36, style, purple. And this is this. You could do any kind of lines. I just do the dash lines because I know, okay, that's my, POC or OPR play. 14. So I try to do it, if it's not exact, it's no biggie, but normally I do it exact. And then I'll draw the POCs, 73? Yeah. And then that's how I set my chart up for today. And come Monday when it opens up, of course I'll switch back to to extended hours. I'll put the extended hours back on, and then we'll see. Like right now, if this was the pre-market and it's getting ready to open up, I would probably 100%, depending on this first candle, If it pushes down, as soon as I see green going up, I'm getting in for, I'd buy a 406 or a 407 target. If it's green, if it starts out green, I'm probably buying right away. I'll buy a call at 407, and as soon as it hits that line, I'll just get out. Sometimes it'll hit the line again. Usually it just wicks, as you could go back and see. It wicks up, hits that line, and it pushes back down. But I don't wait for it to keep pushing. If it hits the line, I'm happy. It hits my profit target, I get out. Okay, question: can you play the OPR more than once during the day? Your choice. I've never done it, so I can't say if you can do like a break and retest almost. And that goes with, I'm sorry, I can't remember who asked the question. If it doesn't open up within that area and it gets in that area, can you play it? I only play it one time. Once it hits it, I'm done with it. Because technically the POC from yesterday is just a magnet to where, okay, if it hits it, obviously throughout the day it's creating a new POC, so it's probably not going to be the same. But honestly, I've never played it more than once.
I've played the POC like later in the day, and I've had some success with it. But I think that you've found like a really good time to do it in the morning. Like I've made like my biggest gain ever playing the POC like late in the day, like a 400%er. But I've also lost a bunch too. So I think it's much more hit or miss later in the day than it is like when you're playing it in the morning.
So when I play it in the morning, I'm actually playing yesterday's POC, and if you have that that session profile on, what'll happen is throughout the day it's actually printing. So this yellow line, if I have my yellow line on there, this yellow line's printing also throughout the day, and that's basically the POC of the day. So technically, I think you're playing that POC then later on in the day, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't play it. Once I do the morning of the day before, and then, like I said, I'll have it shut off. And if it doesn't open up within that range, I don't even consider the POC. I don't even think about it. Say it opens up outside this range, what I do is I just go and delete these. I don't even worry about them anymore. I'm like, okay, it's not going to open up within that area. I just delete them because I don't play if they get in the area. Is it going to keep pushing up? But yeah, and then I go by the orb. I'll play the orb first. I mean, the good thing about it too is you could kind of combine them, play the POC and the orb. So say it, opens up down here, but within the zone, you could be like, okay, I'm going to play the orb, and if it's going to the upside, that might
ride the orb into the POC.
Yeah, if it's riding up, I might say, okay, I know my profit target's on the Fibs, but I'm very confident it's going to hit this POC, so I'm just going to hold until it hits the POC, and then I'd hold a little bit longer. I've done that before and played it to the POC, and it kept me in it longer, and it works. It worked. Like I said, it's amazing how it works. I don't know how or why, but it works, man, and it's been awesome. Let me add these lines to so I can hide them, and then I'll go into the actual fib portion of it. Any questions on the orb or POC or OPR, or you guys can call it whatever you want.
On that indicator, do you change any settings from the defaults?
Yes. So, and I got to thank OT for this. The inputs, I believe the 68, I can't remember what the default setting is. I've changed it to the 68, and I think that is, how do you explain it? 2 deviations or something like that. He went into it. I just went by OT.
One deviation.
There you go, 1 deviation. So I changed it, and then how I do it is under style, where it says up volume and down volume, I'll click on that and I'll change the opacity to 0. And then the value area, I'll change that opacity to 15%. Make sure the VAH, VAL, and the POC, you can color them any color you want, is on. And that gives me where it'll only show the value area. Here's another thing that's strange too. OT and we've tested this, and I don't know why, but his POC and my POC are different. everything's the same. Of course, I don't use after hours whenever I do this. I just take the after hours off, and I do. So I'm not sure if that's it, but my value areas and POC slightly different from his. And I think Skadoosh was in here one time, and we were looking at it, and they're different than his too. So I don't know. I'm paying for the ARCA data and the extra $2 here and there, and they are too. And so I don't know why it's different, but it is. I mean, they're slightly off, a couple, 10 cents maybe. I don't know exactly, but it's not like it's a dollar off. I don't think it's that bad. But
Okay, cool. Thanks.
so if I type in the for example, how I used to type in the spy pit. Hey guys, be playing the orb, but it's open up within the value area.
Boy, could you post your settings when you get a chance for that?
Sure. Let's see. Yeah, I'll do it later. That way we don't have to do it now during the chat.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on that, the OPR or the orb? Like I said, it's just usually the OPR isn't necessarily a play right away. If it's within $1, it's very high probability it's going to hit the POC within the first 15 minutes to 30 minutes. It'll hit it. Like I said, the other day when it was like $4 off, but it hit it with, I think it was this one here. It hit it within the first, at 10 o'clock or right around 10 o'clock, I think it was. I think I was talking to Joker at the time, and I was like, man, I didn't think this, the OPR, I didn't think it was going to hit this early, but it was pushing up. I'm like, I really don't think it's going to hit it at, before 10, and I'll be damned right here, right at 9:54ish, almost 10 o'clock it hit, and I was like, holy shit. It worked out pretty good that day.
Hey, I got a question.
Sure.
What happens if it goes against? What would be your stop loss?
So for here, when I get in, since this was the orb play, or this was OPR play, I got in at the break of this candle because it was pushing up. My stop loss for me is, because I'm confident, very confident it's going to hit it, is once it comes back to probably 0, or I'd sell once it's pulling back and I'm like, oh hell, it's definitely probably going to pull back to 0. I'll sell maybe for $10. I don't have if it pulls back right away on me and I get in here, I'd probably wait and see if it's going to break, whatever this candle here is when I got in. I'd probably wait to see if it's going to break it, because I'm very confident, and like from my back testing, that when it's probably going to hit it. It's a high probability, above 90%, it'll hit that POC. But it has to be a strong push. Like this green candle, I would not get in, because it's green, but I'm waiting. As you can see, this green candle here, if I would have got in here, boom, that would have definitely stopped me out. It has to be a strong push up towards where the POC is. And a break of the high day like that, to me, that's okay. It's a pretty good push, especially when it closes above it. And that's definitely a good push up there. But it's all on your own. You can have a stop loss however you want to do it. It's just how I play it. I'm normally pretty conservative with my stop losses. Once it starts pulling back, I'll get the hell out. But on the POC or OPR play, I give it a little bit more leadway, because, like I said, it doesn't play out, right away. Sometimes it takes it, maybe 15, 20 minutes to play out. So I might stay in a little bit longer. But that's with anything. Even if you play the orb or whatever, have your own stop loss. I showed you how I do my stuff, but you don't have to follow it. You can make it your own. I showed you how I play the strategy and when to get in it and when to get out. But you can always have your own profit targets and stop loss wherever you want. If you want your stop loss to be up here, that's fine. But to me, I used to have my stop loss, I think it was on the 382 level of the fib. So if it pulled back up here to the 382 level, I would get out. But what I've noticed was, if it starts pulling back against me, especially if it goes past this 236 level, it's not coming back. It's going to probably keep pushing up. So why would I hold on? So now, usually, like I said, when I get in, when it breaks that candle, I'm usually confident, hey, it's going to keep going. And if it starts pulling back, just get out. I won't wait for it to pull back here, because you're losing more money. If it pulls back, get out. All right, fine. there's another, didn't lose that much money and you're ready for another trade. So depending on your stop losses, that's why I don't have a set 10% stop loss, 5% stop loss. It's usually if it pulls back against me, stop loss is how I play it. Unless I'm playing a different, like the OPR, I give it a little bit more leadway. The break and retest, I'm still learning, exactly where I wanted my stop losses on it. And with listening to Jimmy in the chat, it's very helpful of holding longer than I normally would, just because like he explains it all as it's moving on, which has been great. Any other questions on the OPR or orb? All right, so I'm going to go into some fib talk now, and I'll show you why I thought we were going to go up here. So how I do the fibs, or basically it's how anybody does the fibs, is you try to get the run up. You go from the bottom. Why ain't it drawn? So this run up, it's been a pretty decent run up. So I'll go from that bottom to the top. The 618 level, they call it the golden zone. This is an area where more than likely it'll bounce off this area and push back up. If it doesn't, you can use the 786. That's another area it could bounce. But the 618, you can even use the 50, but usually it's the 618 level it likes to hit and bounce off of. When it does that, normally now, it'll pull back probably to this 236 level. So before these green candles even printed, we did this, I can't remember if it was Monday, Tuesday, or whatever, but I drew this and it was on that candle hit that 618. And I think it was me and OT talking. And I was like, two things, actually I think, it was on Tuesday, or it might have been even last week, so it might have been on this red candle here, but I was like, I'm expecting it to push up. If it doesn't and it pushes down, I feel that we're going to hit the 10% level. Because what will happen too is this extension level is once it breaks below this 786, it's a high probability that once it hits this 10% level, it could be a bounce point back to the upside. And once it hits here, it's probably going to, again, there's a 236 area. Actually, that's way too high. I'd have to reverse the fibs because it's going down the opposite way. But if it hits that 10% level, it'll probably bounce up to 236, and I'll reverse the fibs now so you can see what I'm talking about. So if it pushes down to this 10% level, there's a good chance it's going to push back up to this 236 before it shoots back down. Or if it pushes past that, usually that 16.9 or the 16.9 is another bounce, and then the 27 is like, if it breaks that, we're definitely going lower for sure. But normally, if it passes that 16, it's going to hit that 27. But that's even here nor there. And this is how I kind of look for, possibilities of where we might go. So whenever it was here earlier this week, I was telling, why? I have to switch my fibs to where you can see them. I was telling OT, I was like, we're going to hit the 405 area. We're hitting this 382. I was like, I'm confident we're going to hit that. And I told him we'll probably hit it this week sometime. We're going to hit this 382 level, the 405. And I'd be damned, again, if it come up, of course, we gapped up, and we did. We hit and actually pushed past it. So for me, not saying it's going to do that, but come Monday, because there's a lot of stuff going on next week with CPI, and when that shit's thrown in there, you can almost throw strategy out the door with, is it going to go up, going to go down? But normally, what I look for is it to hit this 236 level and see if it's going to push back down. So I'm thinking we're going to hit the 415 next week sometime, and then we might curl back to the downside. Now, that's just my opinion. Like I said, nothing is 100%, but that's just my thoughts. I was surprised when it did. I even was telling them, OT, I was like, man, I'm going to have a refound confidence in the fibs if it doesn't push down and we go up and it does hit that 405, that 382, and it did. I'd be damned on Friday it hit it. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So I'm, like I said, if it keeps pushing up, I really feel that the 415 is going to be the level to see, once it hits here, we're going to curl back down. And then who knows, if it keeps going up, that'd be great. To me, we're probably going to be reversing because now we're getting into, breaking the actual, that high area there, and have to reverse the fibs. But that's how I use the fibs to help me. Like I said, not obviously I use them for my price targets, but this is how I kind of look at it in a longer term, just to see where possibilities we might go. And so far they've been doing pretty good for me on that side. But hopefully you guys got some tissues to wipe your nose. Talk about fibs. Sometimes people get hemorrhages and nosebleeds and stuff.
Hey, Fibs.
Yeah.
How do you get the percentages again? I'm trying to set that up on my fib retracements.
So what I do is just under the percent. If you go are you on TradingView?
Yep.
I posted a picture somewhere. I can't remember, but if you could see the screen, I'm not sure. I don't think I could zoom in.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
But you don't have to leave any spaces here either. You could just go straight down and label them. Like I said, the minus ones are just profit targets for me. That's all I use those for, except for the 10% and the 27% area.
Mine similar to yours, but I don't get the percentages you get though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go to the style down here, where right beside levels. You can switch it to values or percentages. They're all the same. I just leave mine on the percentages. You can do whatever you want, but that's how you switch that. Obviously, font size, you can do whatever you want. Whenever I'm talking about the orb and stuff, I'll switch this to the left side because usually I'll draw the orb over here so you guys can see it. But on a normal day, I have it on the right side so I can read it better throughout the day as it's moving. But yeah. David, let's see here. Is this a daily chart, David, or? Yeah, you're basically did the same thing almost I drew, except you went from up here is how you do it. You went from here, it looks like, down to here. So for here, it pushed down. It could possibly be a pullback to the 618 level, which is, again, what's that number? 415. So he drew it from the high, this most previous rundown, where I drew mine from its low to the run up. The 236 is a 415, where with his, if you look on his chart, that 415 level would actually be the 618, which is an actual good bounce zone for the fib. 415. So look at that. It's just, that's what I'm thinking. We're going to push up to this 415 before we push back down. But like I said, there's no guarantees or anything. But Golden's probably going to go over, the expectations of the week on Sunday or tomorrow. So, like I said, take this with a grain of salt. I am not the greatest trader at all. I'm nowhere near a decent trader. I'm a so-so trader. I'm consistent, but this is how I do it, and it's been working for me. So I can't really complain too much. But any questions on anything that we've talked about tonight? Cool. Well, I'll stop this recording if I can figure out how to do it. Oh shit, where'd it go?
Well, I do want to know how you make $1 million.
that strategy will be talked about tomorrow.